When I tell you this is my Roman Empire, I mean, what the suburbs have done to the world is like tattooed in my brain. I can't help but think about the ways that the suburbs are strictly a creation of white flight. Like the moment that housing desegregation and school integration began to happen, folks were like, I'm out. I still want my extractive relationship with the city. I still want access to my job, and I still want access to culture. But I want to be able to take all of the profit that I make off of that and all the income that I make. I want to be able to take it out of this system, out of this tax base. So I want just a purely extractive relationship with the city while also having an extractive relationship with the country. I want their low cost of living. I want the access to land. I want all of that as well. I just want to be able to extract from both of my neighbors while creating a completely homogenous environment where, the point is to be a great consumer. I can't help but think about the ways that the suburbs are the reasons we are like completely invested in car culture. Like you cannot begin to think about the suburbs with meaningful public transportation. But not only that, most of the suburbs share voting blocks with folks who live in the city interior. And so if you ever want to talk about public transportation or any kind of city infrastructure, you're asking folks who have no vested interest, and quite to the contrary, they are antagonistic to the interests of the city, or else they wouldn't even be there in the first place. You're asking them to vote on things that are good for the city. And then you don't even talk about the ways that folks that are in the city have now become a racialized category and a classed category because the capital of white folks has been pulled out of the city. There's that. You're not going to get me to stop thinking about the ways that, this is like a well-trodden subject, but I can't get out of my head that the suburbs are not just a material environment, but they're also a political consciousness. Like people now are the suburbs are entire voting blocks. And you don't even have to you get 1 to 2 generations into the suburbs. You don't have to talk about the ways that half of those HOA agreements were just like racial codes for keeping like black and brown folks out. Like you ain't got to talk about any of that. You just know that like, oh, my family grew up here. Isn't it sweet and cute? And you get to feel nice and innocent because you just grew up in a family-friendly environment, right? Like you get to family wash your participation in the world, and your entire sense of the world is built around single-family homes that are built around like preserving wealth and just thinking of housing as a commodity. I also can't stop thinking about that the suburbs are the reason that we have gentrification, because all that capital went outside of the city for white flight. And so now folks are like, hey, actually the suburbs low-key kind of suck. And also there's these rent gaps that we've left in these in these cities that like, capital's gone out and then it's come back. And so now we're just going to take advantage of that too after black and brown folks have done all the work of upkeeping their communities in these cities. You can't get me to stop thinking about any of it. I hate the suburbs. I mean, I really do. And I understand it's more complicated now that the cities are becoming kind of unlivable. So I got grace for folks and all that. But as a country musician who makes music for rural folks, but is in a genre where it's a lot of suburban folks thinking they're country because they are from the most monocultured exurb. Like, I can't get it out of my head. The suburbs are a spiritual problem, baby.